The sea was quiet. It stretched endlessly beneath the pale light of the moon, cloaked in a mist that crawled like a living thing across the waves. The boat was small, old wood creaking with every shift of the water, and in it stood three figures, silent and watchful, as the silhouette of the island rose slowly from the fog. It did not welcome them. It waited. The island was more than rock and jungle. It was older than maps, older than memory, a shard of another world thrust into the ocean like a blade. Great stone statues loomed along the shore, eroded by centuries, yet still bearing the faces of long-dead warriors. Temples hunched like beasts in the undergrowth. A single dock stretched out from the jagged coast, as though it had not been built, but grown. Liu Kang watched it in silence. He was young, not yet 30, but there was an oldness in his eyes, something disciplined and grave. His long black hair was tied back, his robes were plain, and though his body moved with the ease of a warrior, it was not pride that shaped him, but duty. He had not come to fight for glory. He had come because the world needed him to. Beside him, Johnny Cage adjusted his sunglasses. Even now, and dressed in a sleeveless black shirt, and with the sea air tossing his styled hair, he could not help but grin. "So," he said, gesturing to the island with an open hand, "this is it? The great mystical tournament of ancient prophecy? Looks like a theme park. Needs better lighting." Sonya Blade said nothing. She stood at the bow, arms crossed, military jacket zipped tight. Her eyes never left the approaching dock. She wasn't here for prophecy. She was here for a man named Kano, a killer, a smuggler, and the leader of the Black Dragon. She'd tracked him halfway across the world. She would not let the island be the end of her trail. The boat touched shore. The creak of wood against stone echoed out like a cry. Waiting for them was a man in crimson robes, tall and gaunt, his face veiled beneath a wide hat. He held a staff of blackened wood, carved with dragons. His voice, when he spoke, was like silk wrapped around steel. "Welcome, champions. You are expected." Liu Kang stepped forward. "You are Shang Tsung?" The man smiled. "I am a servant of the tournament. The master will meet you soon." Behind them, more boats approached. Others were coming. Warriors, assassins, monks, mercenaries. All drawn by whispers of a tournament that defied the rules of man. All seeking something. Only some would survive. Above them, in the shadows of the cliffs, something moved. Not quite seen, but felt. A flicker of motion, a glint of eyes. The island watched, and it remembered blood. The stone path wound through a jungle that breathed with heat and unseen life. Trees older than kingdoms stretched high above, their canopies swallowing the light. Strange birds called in alien tongues. The warriors walked in silence, their guide never turning back. Shang Tsung had said little, yet there was power in his silence. Not just authority, but something darker, like the whisper of rot beneath perfume. Liu Kang watched him carefully. His masters at the Shaolin Temple had spoken of Shang Tsung not as a man, but as a shadow cast by ancient sins. A Veraslo, a deceiver, the keeper of the tournament, and its curse. Johnny Cage didn't seem to notice the tension. Or if he did, he didn't care. "All right, Lou, level with me," he said, adjusting his sunglasses. "This whole thing, mystical tournament, island full of creeps, is this like a real thing in your world? Or is this a bad trip?" Liu didn't smile. "It is real. So this guy, Shang Tsung, right, he's like the Emperor's right-hand man?" "No," Liu said, and his voice lowered. "He is the Emperor, here." Before Johnny could answer, the trees parted. They stepped into a clearing vast as a city square, paved in black stone and ringed with statues of warriors frozen in agony. Arms reaching, faces twisted. At the far end, a towering temple loomed, carved from obsidian, its doors flanked by twin dragons whose eyes burned with an inner fire. There were others there, dozens of them, waiting. Fighters from across the realms, monks with shaved heads and tattooed arms, masked men cloaked in smoke. cyborgs with red optics glinting in the sun, a towering four-armed brute whose muscles rippled like living armor. Sonya's eyes scanned the crowd, jaw tight. Then the gong rang. The sound was not merely heard, it struck. A deep, thunderous toll that echoed through stone and blood alike. Even the birds in the jungle fell silent. From the temple doors, Shang Tsung emerged once more. And this time, he was not alone. To his right walked a man cloaked in lightning. His eyes glowed white, and with every step the air shimmered. His presence was impossible, as though the world bent around him. Liu Kang bowed, fists clasped. "Lord Raiden," he whispered. To Tsung's left stood a nightmare. Pale skin stretched tight across a skull-like face, yellow eyes glowing like fire, and beneath his black hood, a mouth that never smiled. He said nothing, but the air grew colder near him. Scorpion. Shang Tsung raised his arms. Warriors of Earthrealm, of Outworld, of places forgotten by even the gods. Welcome. His voice echoed through the courtyard, smooth, deliberate, and heavy with false courtesy. You are here because you are worthy, or foolish, perhaps both. Mortal Kombat is not a game. It is not sport. It is war, a sacred right held once a generation. The prize? Survival, freedom, dominion. He paused, letting silence sink into the bones of those gathered. You will fight, you will kill, or you will die. The gods do not intervene, unless they must. Let the tournament begin. There was no applause. The silence that followed was not emptiness. It was recognition that none among them would leave unchanged, and most would not leave at all. The arena was carved from the mountain itself, a ring of dark stone surrounded by a wall of jagged cliffs. Far above, terraces held watching eyes, robed figures, silent and still. Some were human, some were not. The floor was cracked and scorched from battles long past. Stains marked where warriors had fallen. The stone remembered their names even if no one else did. Liu Kang stood in the shadows of the gate, breathing slowly. He wore no armor. His robes were gone, replaced by simple red sashes and loose black pants. The monks of the White Lotus taught that strength was not in steel, but spirit, in the flame of purpose that burned within. Across the ring, another gate opened. Out stepped a giant. His name was Art Lean, a man from Earthrealm, known among underground fight circuits as a brutal and efficient street brawler. His frame was wide, arms knotted with muscle, and his knuckles bore the marks of a dozen victories. He looked across the arena and frowned. I thought this was some fantasy cult crap, he muttered. But this is real, huh? Liu said nothing. He bowed. Art stared, then gave a curt nod. No hard feelings. The gong rang. Art moved first. A forward rush. Wide stance, fists flying in a tight arc. He was fast, more than Liu expected, and the first punch nearly grazed his jaw. But Liu was faster. He ducked low, let momentum carry Art forward, and struck once. A palm to the chest that sent a ripple through the man's frame. Art staggered back, more shocked than hurt. All right, he grunted. You've got moves. They circled. The crowd was silent, even Johnny Cage, watching from the sidelines, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Sonya stood nearby, her gaze sharp, though her thoughts were elsewhere. She hadn't seen Kano since arrival, and that meant he was hiding. In the ring, Art roared and launched a roundhouse. Liu ducked beneath it and countered with a spinning heel that caught the side of Art's temple. The fighter stumbled, dropped to one knee, then rose again, blood at the corner of his mouth. He grinned. Okay, monk, let's make this a show. Liu sighed inwardly. He didn't want a show. He wanted to end this cleanly, so he did. With a sudden step forward, Liu unleashed a flurry. Fists, elbows, knees. Strikes so fluid, they became a single motion. Art had no time to block. A final uppercut sent him crashing to the ground. Silence. Shang Tsung stood at the edge of the arena, arms crossed. He did not applaud, but he smiled. Fatality, he whispered. Liu turned sharply. He's not dead, the sorcerer shrugged. Then perhaps he should be. Liu stepped away from the ring. Art groaned, still alive, unconscious but breathing. That was enough. As Liu rejoined the other warriors, Raiden appeared at his side. The Thunder God's voice was low. You showed mercy. It was not weakness. It was hope, Raiden said, then added, hold on to it while you can. Above them, clouds rolled over the island. Thunder growled, distant but coming closer. The jungle was thick and silent. Sonya Blade moved like a shadow between trees, every footstep calculated, every breath controlled. She was alone, not by chance, but by design. She had seen the tournament for what it was, not only a ritual of combat, but a cage. Shang Tsung had promised honor in battle, but there was no honor in the way he watched her. No trust in the way the guards tightened their grips when she passed. She was not here to play his game. She was here to finish one. The last time she had seen Kano, he was bleeding, cornered in the ruins of a warehouse outside Buenos Aires. She had chased him through fire and gunmetal for nearly a year, across borders, through jungles, into darkness. And now he was here. Somehow even this island, haunted and uncharted, had become part of his trail. She found the tracks just past a crumbled statue near the southern cliffs. Heavy boot prints, shallow but recent, dragging slightly on the right. She remembered Kano favored his left knee when running, a fracture that never healed right. She followed the signs without hesitation. Then came the voice. Well, well, it said from the trees. If it ain't the little soldier girl. Sonya turned, gun raised, eyes sharp. He stepped from the shadows with the easy arrogance of a man who thought himself invincible. Bald head shaved to a dull shine, cybernetic eye glowing faintly red, a crooked smile spreading across a face carved by war. His chest bore the tattoo of the Black Dragon, the mercenary cartel Sonya had sworn to dismantle. Kano, she said flatly, still chasing me. I'm flattered. He grinned. Could have sworn I left you in a pile of ash. You left me alive, she replied. That was your mistake. He raised his hands mockingly. Easy, love. You don't want to break the rules of the tournament, do you? Wouldn't want to get disqualified. Sonya advanced. Then let's make it official. Before he could answer, a shadow moved behind them. A masked monk in red robes holding a scroll. Sonya Blade, Kano, your match begins, now. The arena this time was not a grand courtyard, but a tight ring of stone surrounded by jungle. Vines hung like nooses from the trees. The air was thick with heat and the scent of wet earth. Kano cracked his neck. Ladies first. Sonya didn't wait. She launched forward, a spinning kick that caught his ribs and drove the breath from his lungs. He staggered back, snarling, and pulled a knife from his belt. But Sonya was already inside his guard, slamming an elbow into his jaw, following with a knee to the gut. You're slow, she said. Still pretty, he coughed and slashed. The blade grazed her arm, not deep but enough to draw blood. Pain sharpened her focus. She dropped low, swept his legs, and he hit the stone with a grunt. Before he could rise, she straddled him, fists drawn back. I should kill you, she said. Kano smiled, blood on his teeth. You won't. She hesitated, a single second, and he used it. A surge of his cybernetic eye blinded her with a flash of red light. She reeled. He rolled, kicked her off, and scrambled to his feet. But this time, he didn't press the attack. Instead, he fled. Into the trees, back into shadow. Sonya cursed, breathing hard, her fists clenched with rage. Above, the monk with the scroll did not speak. He merely dipped his head once, turned, and vanished. It was unclear who had won, but the hunt was not over. The chamber was cold, unnaturally so. No windows, no fire. Only stone walls sweating frost. Ice crawled across the floor in thin webs, creeping up the feet of statues that lined the walls like silent judges. In the center stood a man, still as a statue himself, head bowed, breath faint as mist. He wore the colors of the Lin Kuei, deep blue and black, the garb of assassins. But Bihan, known to the world as Sub-Zero, was no ordinary killer. His skin did not feel the cold. It birthed it. When he opened his eyes, they shimmered like frozen glass. A second door opened. The one who entered did not belong to the world of the living. He made no sound. He cast no shadow. He did not walk. He approached as though summoned by hatred itself, yellow and black, a face hidden by cloth and bone, and beneath that, a soul scorched in fire. Scorpion. The two stood in silence. Not a breath passed between them, but the room changed. The very air stiffened as if nature recoiled. The frost on the walls deepened, then in sudden protest began to melt. Steam curled at the edges of the assassin's hood. Finally, Sub-Zero spoke. "You should not be here." Scorpion's voice was the crackle of wood and flame. "And yet here I am. You were destroyed. I was murdered. By your hand." Sub-Zero's eyes narrowed. "I followed orders." Scorpion stepped forward. "And I followed honor. You killed my clan, my wife, my son. I did what was necessary. Your death was not enough." Scorpion's hand moved in a blur. A chain snaked from his wrist, tipped with a jagged spear. The breath of vengeance made metal. It shot forward, whistling through the chamber, aimed for the heart. Sub-Zero was faster. He sidestepped, ice erupting from his palm. The chain froze mid-air, encased in a block that shattered to the ground. He launched a second wave, frost arching toward his foe. But Scorpion vanished in a cloud of fire and smoke. He reappeared behind him, flaming fist crashing against Sub-Zero's shoulder. They moved like two storms colliding, fire and frost, ghost and assassin. Sub-Zero ducked a high kick, slid beneath his opponent, then formed a sword of ice and slashed upward. Scorpion blocked with a forearm ignited in flame, the blade hissing as it met searing flesh that did not bleed. Every strike was personal, every block a whisper of the past, of the moment in a forest years ago, when Bi-Han slit the throat of Hanzo Hasashi and left him to rot among the burning embers of his home. But fire does not die so easily. With a roar that shook the walls, Scorpion exploded in a pillar of flame, knocking Sub-Zero back. He knelt, coughing frost. Scorpion advanced, spear raised. "Finish it," Sub-Zero said, chest heaving. "But it won't bring them back." Scorpion froze. The flames flickered. For one brief second, the rage in him hesitated. Not from mercy, but from the void that came after vengeance. The question no warrior dares ask. What if the killing is not enough? He stepped back. "This is not the end," Scorpion growled. Sub-Zero wiped blood from his mouth. "No," he said quietly. "It's not." High above, Shang Tsung watched from a balcony, amused. "How delicious," he murmured. "Revenge that cannot be satisfied. Perhaps I shall let them both live. For now." Lightning cracked somewhere distant. The next match would be a bloodbath. The night on the island was thick and heavy. Even the stars seemed to burn dimmer above it, as though the sky itself feared what it looked down upon. Liu Kang sat in a temple courtyard, legs folded, hands resting lightly on his knees. A small fire burned before him, not for warmth, but for focus. Its flickering glow danced across his bare chest, catching the scar above his left collarbone. A gift from an old fight. A reminder of the line between mastery and death. He did not close his eyes. Instead, he watched the fire, as if searching for something within it. He had won his first match, but victory felt hollow. Not because he doubted his strength. He had trained all his life for this. Not because he had spared his opponent. Mercy was not weakness. But because something in this place pressed against his spirit like a hand around the throat of a flame. He did not trust Shang Tsung. He did not trust the tournament. But most of all, he did not trust himself. "You're troubled." The voice was not spoken aloud. It came as thunder before the storm, carried on the breath of the wind. Raiden stood behind him. The god of thunder wore the guise of a man, but only just. His robes flowed as if moved by currents unseen. His eyes glowed faintly, and the air around him shimmered with hidden electricity. When he stepped forward, even the fire bent slightly, as if to greet a higher flame. Liu stood and bowed. "Lord Raiden, you fight well." "I fight with purpose." Raiden tilted his head. "And what is that purpose, Liu Kang?" Liu hesitated. "To defend Earthrealm, to stop Outworld from claiming victory in mortal combat, To honor the teachings of the Shaolin. All noble truths, Raiden said, but not your true purpose. Liu looked at the fire. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. The silence between them stretched like a drawn bowstring. Then Raiden lifted his hand and summoned a small arc of lightning, weaving it between his fingers like a thread. This tournament is more than a contest of strength. It is a reckoning. For centuries, Earthrealm has stood on the edge of a blade. We have won the last 9 tournaments. One more loss and the realm falls to Outworld, to Shao Kahn. I know this, but you do not yet understand what must be done to stop it. Liu met the god's eyes. Tell me. Raiden paused. The lightning faded. You must go further than your masters have taught you. You must learn to awaken the dragon within you, the flame that is more than flesh. Liu's brow furrowed. My Chai, your destiny. Before Liu could answer, a scream echoed through the night. Sharp, sudden, cut off too quickly. Both warrior and god turned toward the sound. From the trees beyond the courtyard, smoke rose in thin columns. Firelight flickered from deeper within the jungle. Something, or someone, was burning. Liu was already moving. Raiden made no move to stop him. He only watched, eyes narrowed, voice low. You must be tested, Liu Kang, he murmured, and the fire that guides you must learn what it means to consume. Liu Kang moved quickly through the jungle, his footsteps light on the wet earth. The trees loomed like skeletal giants, their limbs blackened in the flickering light ahead. The smoke grew thicker, acrid, heavy with the scent of scorched flesh. He emerged into a clearing where the fire still burned. Bodies lay twisted on the ground, not competitors, but guards. Shang Tsung's men. Their armor had melted into their skin. Their faces were frozen in expressions of terror, not pain, as if they had seen something before death that no man should see. Liu knelt near one of them. There were no wounds, no blade, no broken bones, only heat. He stood slowly, senses reaching outward, his chi brushing the edges of the unnatural. Something was wrong here, not just the deaths, but the silence that followed. The jungle should have echoed with the noise of birds, insects, wind. There was nothing. Then he saw it. At the edge of the clearing, carved into the base of an ancient stone idol, was a symbol, a dragon with hollow eyes coiled around a sphere of broken light. Liu reached toward it. His fingers had barely touched the stone when a voice rasped from behind him. You shouldn't be here, monk. Liu turned, fists raised. The figure was cloaked, hood drawn low. His robes were black and crimson, soaked in blood. His presence felt like rot, not the stink of decay, but the spiritual stench of something that had withered but refused to die. Who are you? Liu asked. I am only a shadow, the figure said. But you are the spark. Liu didn't lower his stance. You speak in riddles. I want truth. Then listen well. The figure stepped forward. His face was hidden, but his voice thickened with old venom. The tournament is a veil, a mask to hide what festers beneath. Shang Tsung is not the master here. He is a servant. To whom? To one who feeds on souls, one whose name was buried before your gods learned to walk. Liu narrowed his eyes. Shao Kahn. No. The figure's voice dropped. Older, hungrier. Before Liu could press further, the fire behind them surged without warning. A scream, inhuman, sharp, tore through the trees. The hooded figure turned his head. He awakens, he whispered. Too soon. Then he vanished. Not fled, not ran. Vanished, as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Liu stood alone, breath steady but shallow. He looked again at the symbol on the idol, now half covered in ash. He traced the shape. Dragon, sphere, the broken lines of light. A warning, or a prophecy. He turned back toward the path, toward the temple. Whatever game Shang Tsung was playing, it was only a fragment of something older. The tournament was real. The danger, the blood, the threat to Earthrealm. But it was not the end. It was the beginning. Johnny Cage had been in fight scenes before. He'd been kicked through windows, set on fire, buried alive twice, and once thrown from a moving train by a guy wearing nothing but a snakeskin thong. All of it fake, all of it choreographed. But this arena, this was no set, no green screens, no stunt doubles, no reset button. And the blood on the stone floor? Real. He stood in the middle of the courtyard, shirtless, sunglasses still somehow unbroken, fists taped and flexed. The crowd around him wasn't cheering. They were watching, judging, waiting. Across from him, his opponent emerged from the shadows. She was small, barefoot, cloaked in the strips of cloth like a funeral wrap. Her skin was pale gray, and her eyes were wide, all pupil, ringed in red. Her mouth didn't smile, but it twitched in a way that made Johnny's spine crawl. "What the hell?" he muttered. Shang Tsung, seated above the arena, raised his hand. "Begin." No gong, no drama, just a fight. Johnny exhaled. "All right, showtime." He moved fast, leading with a front kick. Clean, smooth, textbook Hollywood. She dodged it easily. Then she sprinted toward him, low and fast like a wild animal, hands clawed. He barely blocked her strike. But it wasn't her fingers he had to worry about. She bit him. "Jesus, what the—" He stumbled back, gripping his arm. Blood ran down where her teeth had torn the skin. She hissed and leapt again. Johnny threw a jab, missed, then slammed an elbow into her jaw. Her head snapped back with a crunch, but she didn't fall. She laughed. Okay, no more holding back. He spun and kicked her square in the chest. She flew back, hit the wall, and slumped. This time she didn't get up. Johnny stood over her, panting, sunglasses cracked. "That's a wrap." Shang Tsung's voice slithered down like oil on glass. "Well done, Mr. Cage." Johnny turned toward him. "You said this was a tournament. That wasn't a fighter. That was a ghoul. She was what she needed to be, and you survived." Johnny clenched his fists. "What is this place?" Shang Tsung smiled. "A crucible. It shows you what you are, beneath the fame, beneath the jokes. And what you are, Mr. Cage, is afraid." Before Johnny could reply, the crowd began to murmur. At the far edge of the courtyard, the dead girl's body was moving. Her limbs twitched, her head lolled. A shadow coiled around her like smoke. And then, she was gone. Johnny stared. "Nope, nope, nope." He turned, walking quickly off the arena floor. "I need a drink and a damn agent." The temple was quiet, but not calm. Liu Kang returned before dawn. Smoke still clung to his skin. Blood dried on his knuckles. And though his body ached, it was nothing compared to the unease simmering in his spirit. Raiden stood where he had last left him, unmoving, as if he had been waiting not minutes but centuries. "You saw it," the Thunder God said. Liu didn't ask how he knew. "The guards were dead, burned from the inside." "Shang Tsung is clever," Raiden said, "but not careful. He lets his hunger slip when he thinks no one sees." "It wasn't just him," Liu replied. "There was someone else. A man, cloaked. He said Shang Tsung served something older." Raiden turned to him. "He spoke true." Liu's brow furrowed. "Who is it? Who was he?" Raiden looked to the east, where the first hints of dawn clawed at the sky. Long ago, before realms were divided, there were beings who fed not on food or air, but on souls. They ruled in shadow, shaping the realms with cold hands and cruel thoughts. One of them learned how to linger after death, to persist. Liu was silent. "Shang Tsung is no more than a worm feeding at the foot of that corpse," Raiden continued. "He takes souls to grow stronger, but he offers many to his master, to the one who waits beneath this island." "A name," Liu demanded. "Give me a name." Raiden paused. Then in a voice that seemed to rumble from deep in the clouds, he said, "Shinnok." The name struck the air like lightning. Liu blinked. "I thought he was sealed in the Netherrealm." "He was, but his influence leaks like poison. Mortal Kombat was meant to preserve balance between realms. But the rules have been broken. The tournament has become a gateway. If we lose here, if Earthrealm falls, the seal will not hold." Liu stepped forward, jaw tight. Then we cannot lose. Raiden placed a hand on his shoulder. Light, but charged with the force of the storm. You must go beyond the warrior you were trained to be. Not just a monk, not just a champion. You must become the flame the darkness fears. Lightning crackled overhead. The storm was gathering, and dawn would bring more than light. It would bring blood. The air inside the arena was thick with tension. The crowd was louder now, growing eager for the next round. Their chants were less for victory and more for blood. Johnny Cage stood at the edge of the arena, stretching his arms and rolling his neck. His earlier fight had left him shaken, but he had learned the most important lesson. This wasn't a movie. This was real. He glanced over at Liu Kang, who stood motionless, eyes fixed on the other side of the arena, where Raiden now stood. The god of thunder had entered the fray, his robes no longer ceremonial, but battle-worn. His face, usually calm, was etched with something deeper. Concern, determination, a warning. Across from Raiden, Shang Tsung's chosen champion, Kano, stepped forward. The black leather-clad mercenary wore an arrogant grin beneath his cybernetic eye. His menacing laugh echoed around the arena. "Ha! This is gonna be fun," Kano said, his voice carrying over the crowd. Raiden didn't flinch. His expression was unchanged as he raised his hand, summoning a bolt of lightning from the heavens to crack the air with thunder. The crowd gasped, watching the god harness the sky. "Let it begin," Raiden declared. The fight exploded instantly. Kano charged, throwing a high kick aimed at Raiden's head. But the thunder god moved like a force of nature. He dodged with inhuman speed, his hands crackling with energy. He struck with a punch, sending Kano flying back. But Kano recovered quickly, pulling out his knife and slashing it toward Raiden's torso. Raiden blocked with ease, his hands glowing with blue energy. He disarmed Kano with a single twist of his wrist, then hurled him back into the arena wall, sending a shock wave of thunder through the ground. "Is that all you've got?" Raiden taunted, his voice like a storm on the horizon. Kano growled, charging again, this time with a series of brutal punches and kicks. He wasn't fast enough. Raiden dodged, countering each attack with precision. The god wasn't simply stronger, he was a force of nature, a presence that defied the arena's limitations. But Kano had one final trick up his sleeve. With a laugh, he triggered his cybernetic eye, unleashing a searing beam of red energy toward Raiden. Raiden recoiled just in time, but the beam struck his shoulder, sending sparks flying. He staggered for a moment, eyes narrowing. "You're persistent, I'll give you that," Raiden said, voice low and dangerous. Kano smirked, stepping back, confident for a split second. But it was the last second he would have. Raiden's eyes flashed white-hot with divine fury. With a sharp cry, he raised his hands to the sky, and the ground beneath them trembled. A storm. A blinding storm. Raiden's power surged, and lightning struck the arena. The sheer force of it made Kano scream in agony as he was sent crashing to the ground. His body twitched, his cybernetic systems short-circuiting, and his breath came in ragged gasps. In the final moment, Raiden floated above the arena floor, his body surrounded by lightning. "Finish him!" The crowd went silent as Raiden raised his hand, summoning a massive bolt of lightning that arced down from the sky, hitting Kano directly. The mercenary's body convulsed once, then crumpled to the ground, lifeless. Raiden stood, panting lightly from the exertion. His eyes returned to their usual calm, though there was a weight in them. A weariness born of the truth he knew. He had only begun to fight the true enemy. Shang Tsung, from his high platform, narrowed his eyes. "So it begins." Liu Kang stepped into the arena at dawn. The sunlight was dim, filtering through the gray clouds that had rolled in overnight. Thunder still murmured from far away. Not the wrath of Raiden now, but a warning from the sky itself. Across the stone platform, the other warrior emerged. He wore yellow and black, scorched and faded from flame. His eyes were pure embers. No whites, no pupils, just eternal fire. And beneath his mask, death waited patiently. Scorpion. Liu had heard the whispers. A revenant, a soul pulled back from the Netherrealm, walking not by choice but by vengeance. A ghost wearing flesh. The two men bowed, a gesture neither trusted but both respected. Then silence. Then, Scorpion vanished. He reappeared mid-air, just above Liu, descending with a brutal heel kick. Liu dodged, pivoted, countered with a rising elbow. Missed. Scorpion twisted mid-air, landed low, swept Liu's legs from under him. Liu hit the ground hard, rolled, and flipped back onto his feet. Scorpion's chain was already in motion. "Get over here!" the kunai screamed through the air. Liu barely sidestepped, feeling the blade slice through the edge of his sash. He charged forward, fists glowing faintly with focused chi, and struck twice, chest, ribs, before spinning into a roundhouse that knocked Scorpion back. For a moment, the wraith staggered. Then he straightened. The fire in his chest burned brighter. Scorpion's mask hissed open. Beneath it was no face, only flame. He breathed hell. A wave of fire rushed toward Liu, who raised his arms, drawing on inner strength. Chi surged through his body, not just defense, but purpose. He leapt through the fire, spinning in midair, and landed a powerful flying kick that sent Scorpion crashing into the arena wall. Stone cracked. Liu didn't relent. He sprinted forward, hands moving in practiced strikes, not for speed but precision. He hit pressure points, chest, temple, collarbone. Scorpion growled and vanished again. From behind, a blade at Liu's neck. But Liu was ready. He spun, catching the blade with his bracer, driving his elbow into Scorpion's jaw. Then, without hesitation, Liu summoned his chi. His fists burned with golden flame. The dragon's fire. He struck once, twice, then with a final blow to Scorpion's chest. The fire surged from Liu's palm, through his enemy's body, and ignited the soul within. Scorpion screamed, not in pain, but in something deeper. Grief. Liu stepped back as the wraith fell to one knee, smoke curling from his chest. Their eyes met. For just a second, Scorpion's fire dimmed. In that moment, Liu did not see a demon. He saw a man. Then the flame returned, not hostile but retreating, and Scorpion teleported in a flash of ash and ember. He had yielded. The crowd was silent. No cheer, no call. Even Shang Tsung said nothing. Raiden watched from the shadows, his expression unreadable. Liu Kang bowed once, then turned from the arena. And somewhere, far beneath the island, an ancient eye opened. The air in the war room was colder than it had any right to be. Stone walls wrapped the chamber like a tomb, and the torches on the walls flickered as if uneasy. Shang Tsung stood before a table carved from black obsidian, its surface etched with a map. Not of the island, but of the realms. Outworld, Earthrealm, Edenia, Chaos Realm, the Netherrealm, and in the center, a seal, ancient and cracked. "Have we reached it?" said a voice from the shadows. Icy, controlled. Sub-Zero stepped into the light, arms crossed over his chest. His mask was dark, his armor still marked from his last fight. Not a scratch on his skin, but his eyes were wary. "We are close," Shang Tsung said. 9 tournaments, 9 victories. The 10th is the key. Should I claim Earthrealm here and now, the barriers between worlds will collapse. The Elder Gods will be unable to intervene. Sub-Zero studied him. "And you believe they won't notice?" Shang Tsung smiled. "They already have. But notice is not the same as action." He turned toward a great mirror on the far wall. It shimmered with sorcery, not reflection, but revelation. The image rippled, showing Liu Kang, fresh from his victory over Scorpion. "He's stronger than we expected," Sub-Zero said. "He is predictable," Shang Tsung corrected. "Raiden trains them well, but always the same. Order, honor, fire. It's what makes them vulnerable." Shang Tsung waved his hand, and the mirror showed something else. Sonya Blade, moving through a temple ruin under cover of night. She was searching, digging, too close to the truth. Sub-Zero's gaze narrowed. "You want her found?" "No," Shang Tsung said softly. "I want her afraid. A soldier's strength fades when faced with the unknown. If she sees even a glimpse of what lies beneath this island, she will fall." There was silence. Then Sub-Zero spoke again. "You haven't told me everything. About the 10th victory. About what happens after." Shang Tsung's smile faded. You should be careful, assassin. Curiosity is what led your brother to his death. Sub-Zero didn't move. You told me Scorpion killed him. He did, the sorcerer said smoothly. But you never asked why. Sub-Zero's fist clenched. Shang Tsung turned back to the obsidian table, one finger tracing the crack in the seal at its center. There is a name older than the tournament, he said. Older than even the Elder God's decree. A being chained beneath the roots of the realms. One whose awakening will Sonya Blade moved without sound. Her boots skimmed over the ancient stone, senses sharpened by years in black ops. This wasn't her first infiltration, but it felt like the first one that mattered. A deep tremor pulsed beneath the surface. Not seismic, rhythmic, like a breath. She checked her tracker. No signal, no GPS, no tech at all. Whatever magic powered Shang Tsung's island, it didn't like satellites. She was on her own. The ruins loomed around her, crumbling stone walls wrapped in creeping vines, statues of forgotten gods with cracked faces and broken crowns. The deeper she moved, the less Earth-like it became. She paused beside a door half swallowed by rock. Her fingers brushed the surface, smooth obsidian. It wasn't carved, it was grown. Sonya drew her sidearm. Let's see what secrets you're hiding. With a grunt, she pressed her shoulder to the stone, forcing it open with slow, grinding resistance. The door gave way, and behind it, a narrow stair spiraled down into the black. She flicked on her flashlight. The beam struggled against the dark. Of course, Hell's basement. She descended slowly. The air thickened with every step. Not dust, but power. Ancient, residual, as if the stone itself had memory. At the bottom, the stair opened into a chamber unlike anything she'd seen. The walls weren't carved. They were etched by heat. Strange symbols glowed faintly, pulsing like veins beneath the stone. In the center stood an altar, a sarcophagus, and at its foot, a stone tablet. Sonya approached, brushing dust from its surface. The script was in no language she knew, but above it, a symbol, the dragon of Mortal Kombat, but not Earthrealm's. This one was twisted, reptilian, wrong. She turned on her comms. Nothing but static. Suddenly the room shifted, not visibly, but spiritually. Like something had noticed her presence, something that had been asleep. The sarcophagus creaked. Sonya froze. It didn't open, but the air grew colder. A shape began to form above it. Not physical, but projected in blue fire. A figure, cloaked, ancient, burned into the stone by time itself. Its mouth did not move, but its voice entered her mind. You are not chosen. You are not bound, but you are seen. Sonya raised her weapon. Identify yourself. The realms burn. The chains weaken. The 10th opens the gate. The dragon returns. Who are you? I am the first whisper, the voice before the roar. I am prophecy and punishment, and I remember Earth. With that, the figure vanished. The glow died. The chamber went silent. And Sonya, still gripping her weapon, heart hammering, now knew the truth. This wasn't just a tournament. It was a ritual, and Earthrealm was not fighting to win. It was fighting to survive. The tunnels were colder now. Sonya moved quickly, retracing her steps up the winding stair. She glanced over her shoulder more than once. The darkness felt thicker. A presence pressed at her back like a held breath, waiting. Then she heard it. Not footsteps, but absence. A silence too perfect. A stillness that erased her own. She spun. No one there. But the air moved wrong. It folded inward, as if part of the tunnel had forgotten how to exist. Sonya raised her weapon. Show yourself. A whisper answered. Not a word. A name. Saibo. And then he was there. From the shadows emerged a shape, more absence than man. Cloaked in black, face hidden behind a dead mask, skin glistening like oil under her flashlight's weak beam. His presence felt hollow, as if he had forgotten how to be human, and yet his stance was familiar. Too familiar. Ninja, she muttered. He moved before she could blink. A strike like smoke, hard to track, impossible to dodge. She stumbled backward, firing twice. The bullets passed through nothing. His form broke like mist, then reformed behind her. She dove, rolled, came up fast, landed a kick to his ribs, but her foot struck shadow. No weight, no resistance. Noob Saibot countered with a single back fist, solid this time, and sent her crashing against the stone wall. Pain flared down her spine. She gritted her teeth. "You're not just some assassin, are you?" He tilted his head, a silent answer. Then he reached up, slowly, and touched the edge of his mask, peeling it away. Beneath, a face half rotted, half preserved in ice and shadow. His eyes were nothing but black, but Sonya saw it. Recognition, familiar lines. A name surfaced in her mind like a corpse rising from dark water. "Sub-Zero?" she whispered. He didn't answer, but he hesitated. It was enough. She slammed a flash charge to the floor. A burst of white light shattered the tunnel's dark, and she ran. Noob reeled. His form flickered, unstable, as if the light itself burned him. Sonya didn't look back. She didn't need to. She had seen more than a ghost. She had seen the past. And now she knew someone was resurrecting warriors not just to fight, but to bind. Souls, memory, identity, all consumed in service of something rising beneath the tournament. A king, a god, a weapon. Whatever the Dragon King was, he didn't want to win Mortal Kombat. He wanted to end it. Night on Shang Tsung's island was never truly dark. The skies burned with distant stars not of Earth, and the clouds flickered with constant stormlight, an echo of Raiden's presence. He stood atop the temple's highest tower now, alone, his staff braced against stone, his eyes turned toward the horizon. Wind howled through his robes, but what he felt was deeper than weather. The seal was breaking. The realms were fraying. The 10th tournament was not just the final battle. It was the final key. Behind him the air shimmered. A voice emerged, oily and sweet. "You broke your vow, Thunderer." Shang Tsung. He stepped onto the rooftop, robes sweeping behind him like a second shadow. His face was calm, too calm. "I have broken nothing," Raiden said. "You twist the rules of Mortal Kombat. You summon specters. You corrupt the tournament with blood rituals and dark prophecy." Shang Tsung shrugged. "The rules were made by gods, but it is mortals who must survive. Would you condemn your realm to obedience or evolution?" Raiden turned, lightning dancing along his skin. "You do not seek evolution, you seek conquest." Shang Tsung's smile widened. "Perhaps, but it is not for me." He gestured toward the storm beyond the island. A second moon now hung above the ocean, dark red, veined with black. "It awakens," the sorcerer whispered. "The Dragon King stirs. The realms realign. The blood of 10 tournaments flows to one place, his prison." Raiden struck the ground with his staff. Thunder exploded outward. "You will not open that gate. You are too late." The clouds above split, and a column of red fire erupted from the sea, stretching into the heavens like a wound torn through reality. Raiden's eyes flared white. "Then I will strike you down myself." He charged, faster than thought, a bolt of living electricity. Shang Tsung countered with a sphere of black flame, and the two forces collided in the sky, a clash of gods above a crumbling world. Lightning split the tower in two. The ground shook. Raiden struck again, hammering Shang Tsung with a storm barrage. But the sorcerer absorbed the energy, laughing, his eyes turning violet with stolen souls. "You see, Raiden?" he hissed. "You are bound by the old ways. I am not." Raiden fell back, wounded, his strength fading, but before Shang Tsung could strike the final blow, a second figure arrived. Liu Kang, burned, bloodied, but unbroken. He stepped between gods and monsters, fists aflame with chi. "Then bind me," Liu said quietly. "Let this end with Mortal Kombat." The arena was gone. In its place, a ruin. Stone shattered by gods, sky split by unnatural light. The ocean boiled at the island's edge, where the red flame of the Dragon King's prison licked the clouds. And in the center, two warriors, Liu Kang, champion of Earthrealm, his chest rising slow with pain, fists burning with inner fire. Shang Tsung, avatar of centuries, drunk on stolen souls, his body shifting. One moment young, the next ancient, the next inhuman. Raiden watched from above, wounded but alive, sparks flickering from his broken staff. The others, Sonya, Johnny, even Sub-Zero, stood just beyond the crumbled gates, powerless now to interfere. This was not a battle for glory. This was a battle for everything. The wind stilled. Then Shang Tsung moved, fast, blurring, striking with a serpent's grace. Fire twisted from his palms, but Liu Kang met it with a roll and an upward strike, cracking the sorcerer's jaw with a chi-charged fist. They traded blows like titans. Shang Tsung's form shifted. He became Jax for a breath, slamming metal fists. Liu dodged. He became Kitana, graceful, deadly. Then Goro, monstrous and towering. But Liu Kang adapted. He fought not the form, but the soul beneath. Each punch was truth. Each kick, defiance. Blood hit the stone. Neither yielded. Shang Tsung snarled, retreating to the altar at the arena's edge. He raised his arms, and the seal broke. A beam of red fire exploded from beneath the earth. The sky screamed, and from the void rose Onaga's shadow, a dragon with 1,000 voices, wings of bone, a will older than God's. Its eye opened, and for a moment Liu Kang felt everything, 1,000 timelines, 1,000 failures. And yet, in that flood of chaos, one thing endured. Hope. Raiden's voice echoed across the collapsing realm. Liu Kang, now! The monk launched forward, drawing every ounce of chi, of fury, of purpose. Fire coiled along his limbs, golden and pure. He struck once, twice. Then with a cry that shattered the altar, he unleashed the dragon kick. A blast of burning energy that hit Shang Tsung square in the chest. The sorcerer screamed. Onaga's shadow reached for him and dragged him back into the void he had tried to awaken. The fire vanished. The seal slammed shut. The world held its breath. And Liu Kang, shaking, scorched, broken, stood alone, but victorious. Dawn broke over Shang Tsung's island. For the first time in 1,000 years, the red fire was gone. The skies, no longer fractured, stretched clean over the broken arena. The altar where the seal had split was now silent, cold. No voices, no gods, just ruin. Liu Kang knelt where Shang Tsung had fallen. His breath was shallow, his fists bled, but his eyes held peace. Raiden approached, slow from his wounds, leaning on the haft of his broken staff. Around them, the others began to emerge. Sonya, Johnny Cage, Sub-Zero, each carrying their own scars, but alive. Sonya stepped forward, eyes scanning the ruin. "It's over?" she asked. Raiden's gaze turned skyward. He paused before answering. "For now." Liu Kang stood. "The Dragon King?" "Sealed again, but not destroyed," Raiden said. "He will wait. He will return." Sub-Zero's voice was quiet. "And when he does?" Raiden turned to Liu Kang. "He will not return to this world." The monk blinked. "What do you mean?" Raiden placed his hand on Liu's shoulder. "You have done more than win. You have become something greater than champion. You have rewritten fate. The tournament will not end, but it will begin anew, shaped by your will." Lightning crackled across Raiden's skin, but gentler now, like a farewell. "I must return to the heavens, but Mortal Kombat will need a new protector." Liu Kang's eyes widened. "You don't mean—" "You have earned it," Raiden smiled. "A rare thing." Then he was gone, a bolt of light ascending into the sky, leaving only wind and silence. Weeks passed. The island sank, as all things cursed must. Earthrealm returned to a fragile peace, scars healed, cities rebuilt. But beneath it all, the memory of fire lingered. Liu Kang walked alone through the mountains, far from the world. But he was not forgotten. He now bore Raiden's mantle. Not God, not mortal. something between. He watched the horizon, and he waited, because the realms would call again. And when they did, he would answer. Not with prophecy, not with vengeance, but with combat.